Hello my Stitchlings, I am here with a magic ring guide to show you different types of rings and when you should use them. Grab your yarn and a hook. Now the magic ring I'm going to show you first is really important for things like cardigans or blankets that are going to get a lot of heavy wear and tear. So I made this granny hexagon cardigan, and you can see here it starts with a magic ring, or really just a circle that you're working into. You do not want to use a classic magic ring for this because they can come undone easily on something that's being worn a lot, especially on these types of cardigans where that magic ring's actually in your armpit area when you're wearing it. So I'm going to show you that first way that you can do a magic ring, and that's by chaining and slip stitching for how big you want your circle to be. This is something that your pattern might tell you, or you might have to play with a little to fix. So for that pattern in particular, it said to chain 4 and slip stitch into the back bump of the first stitch. And the reason you use this as a magic circle is it's really strong. I'm pulling pretty hard on it and it's not coming loose. So you want this on something that's gonna get washed a lot, that you're gonna be wearing, because it's stronger than a regular magic ring, which I will show you later on in the video. So let me show you one more time. Chaining however many you need. So if you chain and then you start working into your circle and there's too big of a gap in the middle of your circle, then you need to just chain a little bit less. So you'll make your chain as big as you need it to be, and then slip stitch into the back bump of your chain on the very first stitch. Then you can start working in the stitches of whatever your pattern says. So if your pattern said to work in 6 single crochets, then you can insert your hook into the middle of the circle and yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops, and just keep working in those stitches. And sorry, when I work in a magic ring, I like to yarn under for my plushies and things, so I will explain that in another video. But let's pretend I worked in my stitches and I see that gap there. I'm like, ooh, that's too big. So maybe I would want to make my chain shorter. But either way, this is a really secure magic ring for things you're going to wear, or for blankets where you have granny squares that start with a magic ring, or a mandala that you're working out from. This next magic ring trick is for when you're starting to do work with plushies or just chenille yarn in general. And this type of yarn can be very difficult to close your magic ring on because it tends to catch on itself, and this yarn can break really easily. So doing a magic ring with it can be difficult. I'll still show you how to do that next. But a way that you can get around that yarn breaking is to just do a chain 2. So you'll do your slip knot and you're just going to chain 2. And then you will work all your stitches into the first chain. So if your pattern said 6 single crochets, you will just work all of those into that very first stitch. And you'll see that it gives you a magic circle, just like a regular magic circle or the one that I just showed previously. Now this one's not super tight because I'm using a very large hook so that you can see If I was actually doing this on a plushie, I would be using a smaller hook and different yarn. But that is a way that you can get around your chenille yarn breaking on you. Now for this last one, I'm going to show you different ways that you can do the classic magic ring. So just showing you different grips. The way that I learned was to put the yarn over your pinky, bring it up and over your pointer finger, and then wrap around your middle finger. And then you want to hold the end with these two fingers. You're putting your hook under the first line of this X, grabbing the yarn and pulling it through. Then you're going to chain one. This chain one does not count as a stitch. And then you have your ring you can work into. So if it says to work in single crochets, double crochets, you will just be inserting your hook in through the circle. So let's pretend it said to do 4 single crochets. I would insert, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both. That would be 1 single crochet. I would mark my first stitch, two, 3, 4. And then I take the tail and I pull on that to make it tight. Now, you'll want to know if your pattern is telling you to work in continuous rounds or in joined rounds. If it's a continuous round, you'll just go straight into that first stitch you marked and continue working as the pattern says. If it's a joined round, you would need to slip stitch into this first stitch. Then you chain 1, and then you would start your second round. Again, that chain 1 would not count as a stitch, and you would start working your second round. Another way is to wrap around 2 fingers. Wrapping around once, and the second time you come around, you want to make an X shape. Pinch that with your thumb under the first part of the X, and then you want to grab this first yarn, twist it, and pull it up. Now you can kind of carefully keep that circle together, grab your working yarn, and chain 1. Again, that does not count as a stitch. Then you have your magic ring, and you can start working in however many stitches your pattern tells you to work in. And pull the end tight. The last way I'm going to show you is very similar to how a slip knot works, because a magic ring is basically just a big slip knot. So just like how we started with your working yarn over the end of your yarn, you're going to want it over your pointer finger so that you can hold this here. You're going to insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull it through, and then chain 1. Always going to chain 1 with the magic ring. There's your magic ring, and you can change your group if you need to. Start working in your stitches.